Hey y'all, this is DD Double Diamond. This guide is a quick overview of AP Teemo Mid for stomping solo queue up to a high Diamond 1 level. To start, we're going to be going over the runes, the masteries, the spells, and then the items, and then we'll jump into some basic gameplay. To start, we're going to go over the rune pages. We have 3 different rune pages for AP Teemo Mid. The first one is the typical standard AP rune page, including MR penetration reds, magic resist glyphs, armor seals, and AP quintessences. The other 2 pages are conditional. The first is if you're against an AP mid and an AP jungle. This means that you can remove the armor seals from your page and add something else. I decided to add health per level for a total of 175 health at level 18. This will help survive burst mid game and will scale better than the armor into late game. The second extra page is if you're against an AD mid as well as an AD jungle. This allows you to remove the MR glyphs and put something more useful there. I decided to add cooldown per level for an added 10% cooldown reduction at level 18. This is good for Teemo because casting shrooms and blinding dart more often allow him to be more powerful, and his innate build has no cooldown reduction in it at all. For masteries, there are 2 different ways you can build most mid champions. The first is 2109 build, with your offensive masteries going into damage bonus to AP, and your utility for Teemo going into movement speed, potion boosting, and cooldown reduction for your summoner spells. Most mages would take mana regeneration over the movement speed, but Teemo has no problem sustaining mana in lane due to his only spell being Q. For solo queue, I like to take the Biscuit mastery instead of the Rune Buff mastery, because I rarely get blue buff even in Diamond 1, but the Rune Buff mastery is stronger if you're sure that you'll get blue buff often. The second core option is a 21 offense 9 defense page. Your offense masteries are the same, with emphasis on damage for your AP. Your defense masteries have an emphasis on surviving burst abilities such as Annie's combo. For this, you want points in Enchanted Armor, Block, Unyielding, Veteran Scars, and Juggernaut. This will add a small amount of HP, which can be the deciding factor between surviving Annie's Tiber's Burst or living. Teemo uses the same summoner spells as most other mids. Flash is a must considering Teemo has no escape. Ignite is also very powerful on Teemo, allowing him to increase his burst potential, which is critical because he has a low burst before level 6. Barrier is also an option if you're fighting an assassin or someone you're afraid will beat you in lane. Barrier can cancel out combos, again, such as Annie, Zed, Talon, Fizz, or any other champion that can kill you in a few seconds. Teemo is one of the few champions with many distinct item paths that drastically change his playstyle. These builds are AD Teemo, on-hit Teemo with Natur's Tooth, cooldown reduction Teemo with Leandries, and burst Teemo with Lichbane. Each build requires its own runes, masteries, and skill order. This guide focuses on burst Teemo with Lichbane, the funnest build in my opinion, and as such the item build will reflect that choice. For AP Teemo mid, I always start Dorn's Ring, 2 health potions, and a warding trinket. This allows you to regenerate your health in lane, as well as do extra damage and survive larger bursts with Dorn's Ring. On your first back, your goal is to have enough money to buy a Dorn's Ring, basic boots, 2 potions, and a pink ward. The pink ward will allow you to ward your river, providing vision for both your jungle and bot lane. On your second back, your goal is to have enough to buy a Sheen, upgrade your boots to Sorcerer's Boots, buy 2 potions, buy another pink ward, and a green ward. Teemo's final items in order of being built is Sorcerer's Shoes, Lichbane, Hourglass, Void Staff, Death Cap, and Nemrelinomicon. Late game, you'll want to get the Oracle Trinket, and make sure you have both Red Pot and Blue Pot on you at all times, as well as upgrade your boots to Home Guard. The idea of this build is to maximize your AP while providing burst using Lichbane. As you will see, every item choice is geared towards increasing your AP to improve your burst using Blinding Dart, Noxus Trap, and Lichbane procs. Sorcerer's Shoes are the best option for most AP mids, as no other boot option increases your burst. Lichbane is the core item for this build. Each time you cast a spell, your next auto attack does bonus magic damage. One of Teemo's shortcomings is his Move Quick ability, which offers no damage at all. However, with Lichbane, Move Quick turns into a way to proc Lichbane after you've used Blinding Dart during a fight. Hourglass is a staple in any burst mage. It provides the most flat AP in the game at 120 AP, as well as providing some much needed armor for your build. Its active ability allows you to dodge most incoming spells, as well as gives you time to recharge Blinding Dart during a close match. Void Staff is an obvious fourth item. By the time you complete Lichbane and Hourglass, the enemy has started accumulating magic resist. Void Staff ensures you remain viable into the early phases of late game by providing a much needed percentage magic penetration to all your spells. Death Cap is the most AP increasing item in the game at a flat 120 AP, as well as a passive that increases all AP by 30%. As a burst mage, this item is critical and should always have a spot in any completed 6 item build. The last item on the list is the only item in the total build that can be changed without sacrificing the overall potential of Lichbane Teemo. Several viable choices come to mind, including Liandry's, Deathfire Grasp, Morellonomicon, and Abyssal Scepter. Personally, I like Morellonomicon for its flat 20% cooldown reduction, and its passive that applies grievous wounds to wounded enemies. This helps against popular champions like Sona, Nami, and Mundo, as well as crippling AD carry lifesteal. Against a team without a strong healer, Liandry's is a good choice. Abyssal also helps if the enemy mage is bursting you down too quickly, as it provides a lot of magic resist. It also increases your damage to enemy carries that tend to have low magic resist. So now for the abilities. Unlike most champions, Teemo actually is pretty straightforward. His passive is called Camouflage. If you stand still for 2 seconds without taking an action, you go invisible. When you leave stealth, you gain 40% attack speed for 3 seconds, as you can see here. After 3 seconds, your attack speed goes back to normal. His Q is called Blinding Dart. Teemo shoots a dart at an enemy, dealing magic damage and blinding them. As AP Teemo, this is your bread and butter, harass, and nuke ability. Late game, you'll use it to proc Lichbane, as well as nuke for up to 600 damage. His W spell is called Move Quick. Passively, Teemo gains movement speed, unless he's hit by an enemy or structure. He can then activate this ability to double the movement speed, and retains it upon taking damage. Teemo's E is Toxic Shot. Teemo's auto attacks are imbued with magic damage, and leave a dot on the enemy which ticks for magic damage, over 4 seconds. His E will not proc Lichbane, and you cannot toggle it on or off. Teemo's ultimate is called Noxus Trap. Teemo places a trap at the target location, which can be detonated by enemy champions, enemy minions, and monsters. You can use it defensively or offensively by putting it under a champion or putting it on a wave. Last but not least, we need to go over skill order. Teemo is in a unique position because he has several viable skill paths depending on his location on the map and his build. As this build is a nuke Lichbane build, Teemo needs to max Q first. However, he can start with E level 1 to increase his harass. After getting E level 1, he maxes Q level 2 and 3, then gets 1 point in W, and then proceeds to max his Q first, E second, W third, and of course take a point in ult every time you can. So your goal at level 1, since you leveled E first, is to last hit as best you can while laying down safe harass. By safe harass, I mean to avoid counter harass anytime you go up to auto attack the enemy. At level 2, you get a small power spike and another power spike every time you level your Q. With these power spikes, you need to pressure your opponent and whittle him down enough for you to get off a full combo to finish him off. Notice every time Kennen uses his Q to last hit or misses me, or even if he hits me, that leaves me an opportunity to run up, cast all my spells on him that I can, and then back off. Once he's low enough, and my damage potential is high enough, I can potentially finish him off. Always watch your experience bar in any champ you play, and be prepared for the additional power spike that leveling up brings. A single level in Q can mean the difference between landing a kill and not landing a kill, because it adds about 80 damage to your combo. You notice here that Kennen is low enough for me to finish, and I do have flash combo. If you flash, use your Q, auto attack, and use your ignite. This maximizes your burst potential while leaving 2 damage over times on them, so even if they flash out, you still have the potential to land a kill. Knowing maximum burst potential can be the difference between getting first blood or not. Your goal early game against any matchup is to establish if you are able to harass them effectively, and then whenever you can, finish them off. And as always on any champion, you need to be aware of your CS. Getting a kill, but missing 30 CS in the process is not a win. Once you've hit level 6, you can begin laying shrooms down in a defensive perimeter around you. This will allow you to counter any gank that comes your way, or potentially land a kill if the enemy approaches the shroom and hits it. Since I got the kill earlier, my flash was down and I did not have a ward, which left me in a weak position. I kite into my shroom, and since I know I cannot escape, I attempt to kill Kinnan. You'll notice that my shroom came off cooldown right as I died, and I was able to place it under Lee Sin's feet, which procced the AoE and hit Kinnan for the kill. While this wasn't ideal, and this did leave me behind, because they got an assist and we did not, and Lee Sin will get this wave, and I will not get any CS, it is better than simply dying and not getting a kill in the process. So another effective strategy for any mid lane is to keep an eye on the enemy jungle at all times. You've noticed that after my death from Lee Sin, I've come back with my trinket ward ready and a pink ward ready as well. I move into bottom river, which is where dragon is held, and it's a high contestant point in solo queue, toward both those spots. I know that Lee Sin was either low HP, so he had to back, so I move here to take red. However, I find Lee Sin taking red, despite his low HP, and I'm able to secure a kill. If he had decided to back instead of doing red, I could have stolen red before he had a chance to return. You notice that because he is killing that ward, it's likely he has a pink ward in that bush next to the river. I know that Annie is missing, and I no longer have vision on Kinnan because he has not returned to lane. Keeping an eye on your minimap is important at any level of play and on any champion. If I had not backed here, I would have been pinched by both Annie and Kinnan, and later Jinx, and I definitely would have died. Due to my pink ward and river, we're able to keep tabs on dragon, especially if Kinnan goes to assist. It also helps with Kinnan roams to bot lane, and Lee Sin roams to mid or bot through river. Due to the new pink ward mechanic in Season 4, pinking those spots, both above and below mid lane, is a very effective way to maintain control over the mid lane and river, now that the pink wards no longer expire. Knowing how to effectively control river vision and control is very important on Teemo. He's one of the only champions in the game with a spell that reveals an area for a long duration of time, as well as dealing massive damage. Don't forget to stay tuned for part 2 of Teemo, which goes into Teemo's mid game and late game. Thanks for watching.